Legacy can be defined as a gift. Usually it's a gift of money or property that's passed on to the next generation. Here in the Senate, when we talk about legislating legacy, we're talking about passing on and preserving the state's clean air and water, art, and cultural heritage. Joining me now is DFL Senator Foung Hawj, who says, by investing in our environment and traditions now, we're building on the gifts we're giving future generations and strengthening our legacy. Senator, welcome to Senate Spotlight.
My honor.
Senator, you're chair of the Environment, Climate, and Legacy Committee. Environment and climate are pretty self-explanatory. We can tell what they cover, but what does legacy mean to you in this context?
Well, legacy means in terms of preservation of our environment, our clean water, our airs as well, and also arts and culture. Not just preserving, but also enhancing, going to the next generation, passing on what we have here, keeping as clean, as pristine as possible for the next generation.
I like that word, enhancing. That's a really nice thing to include. I know that sometimes senators join committees that they're interested in, and sometimes they're assigned to committees, and then they develop an interest the more they learn about it. So how did that process go for you? Was this something you were interested in, or was it assigned? And then what about these topics interest you now?
Yeah, it's something I'm interested in. As soon as I got on board, I thought about joining the Environment Committee, the Job Committee, and the Arts and Culture Committee, which fall under legacy. And I have my eyes on legacy for some time. And I'm glad that it's not just arts and culture alone, but it has 4 articles, one with outdoor heritage, clean water, park and trails, and then arts and culture. All 4 of which my heart is set for. And so it fall under the roof of legacy. And in committee, and every now and then as I reminded people that the Legacy Committee, the stakeholder, the predecessor designed a very good logo with park and trail, water, and the environment, and then also the arts component has a musical staff on the sign, and I keep pulling out that sign in committee every now and then. And also, when I'm at State Park, I always pointed to them that if you see this sign that has the musical staff, has the park and trail, has a fish on there, I'm part of that committee. And I'm not just part of that committee, I'm the chair of that committee, the Legacy Committee.
Senator, I like that you are legacy through and through, a real champion for it. And to that end, I know that you received an award for your work on parks and trails, and it was reported that since you joined the Environment Committee, the State Parks and Trails General Fund appropriation has increased every biennium. So how did you manage to do that? And talk to me about some of the accomplishments that came from those investments.
Well, I have to thank the surplus that we gathered, several years ago, and our amenity here in our state has not been updated for 30-some years, and so the park and trail improvement fall under the category of the Get Out More project and other specific appropriation like the lottery in lieu and all that. So it's not necessarily strictly into the legacy omnibus bill, which is, although there's one article about park and trail, but there's other surplus in the Environment Committee that we help appropriate to boost up the park and trail. And one particular is the Get Out More funding, which improve accessibility for people in our state, allow wheelchair accessibility, many means of accessibility, audio-visual as well, when people go into our state park. And that's needed, and in addition to updating our state park trails and amenity that has not been done for years.
Yeah, the outdoors and our legacy is for everyone, so that's really nice. When it comes to this session's work, you've said you're particularly proud of the community grants provision. So what is that, and why does it stand out to you?
Well, the community grant provision is under the Article 4, the community identity, arts and culture community, and it helped to preserve culture and also help fund arts program, arts project, and so it's very important to me. Prior to that, and let me take a step back a little bit. In 2008, we just formed the legacy bill through a constitutional amendment. And so over the year, it has been quite popular, and no one have really tapped into the arts and cultural component that well, and it's been put into appropriation for competitive grant throughout time. And so over time, more and more people know about it, and people are applying to it, and legislators are carrying bills to appropriate certain projects that are important to their district. And sometimes these projects find it hard to apply through competitive grant. Some of them have equitable situation where they can find a grant writer or other means, and so there may be smaller organization. So coming to your legislator to help out by identify and use political means to give you a little advantage that this project is really needed for our state. But we have to get the majority of the Senate and the House to support that as well. So that kind of weighed them from going to application process, which likely they might not get granted. But this allowed them some leeway, but not necessarily that we want them to come to us every year and year after year. We want them to, once they're able to stand on their feet, they can go and apply through the competitive level. So I'm glad that when I'm here at Chair Legacy, and since I've been in the Senate, the applicants or those who come to us at the legislature, the project that came to us at the legislature have grown in terms of community color and the underrepresented. So that number has grown, although we have not really reached 25% of the reflection of the diversity in our state, but it has grown more than the time that I began service here.
I understand. So the community grants provision takes these smaller groups that need help, and it kind of gives them the minor league treatment. And then once they're established, they can move into the major leagues with the more competitive grants.
Well, I like that description, the minor league and the major league.
There you go. Yeah. You can have it.
Okay, thank you.
So the Legacy Finance Bill successfully passed in both the House and the Senate. But there were differences. Can you talk me through some of those differences between the bills that had to be reconciled first?
Yeah, the legacy bill has not been quite controversial for years, as the years that I've been here. There are times, and sometimes they lack appropriation to community color, and so we put that into discussion and debate, and perhaps we can accommodate as the bill passed. This year, it's not that controversial as well, but the difference between the House language and the Senate language are very much the same, just that in our arts and culture component, we have more bill hearings than the House. So we have more project there. The House has more direct appropriation. The Senate has more competitive option with listing priority project. And so how do we decide on that front and agree upon? So I'm glad to be having a good relationship and good understanding with my House counterparts, represented our Chair, Samantha Foung, and also Chair Joe McDonough, who are very good to work with. And so we decide where to compromise. A few projects fell off the list, but we live on to build a better appropriation next time, even though those that did not make it this year, there's also opportunity for next round.
That's right. To keep with my sports analogies, I was told that this is just the halfway mark and there's still half a game left. Right. So if it didn't make it into this bill, there's still hope that it can cross that finish line.
Right, and we did appropriate, most of the bill that get heard in my community that gets listed as priority. So in large degree, we are quite inclusive as much as we can.
I appreciate you just going with me with all these mixed sports metaphors. What do you think will be the biggest changes we see moving forward as a result of your committee's work this session?
This is a challenging idea, but we spent a lot of time this year debating which projects should make it on the priority list or which projects should get direct appropriation. And under the arts and cultural bucket, we already designate 47% to the Minnesota State Art Board to do their own solicitation to arts community to apply grant from them. So that leave the other 53%, and some of them are direct appropriation to our Minnesota Zoo, our Science Museum, and some other project out there, NPR, Emperor Radio and such. So we need to reevaluate that and to see if we could make it more robust and also at the same time more transparent. So over the summer, I'm doing my own research and with some staff to see if we can create a better process within the other portion of the arts and culture, the 53% of arts and culture, how we can make it more robust and more transparent, and at the same time also allow legislative opportunity to help out organization or artists in the community to be successful in the grant consideration from legislation point of view, or through application through competitive grant from agency like Humanities Center or History Center.
Fantastic. Now, obviously your work isn't only limited to your committee work. You author several bills, and a lot of the bills you've authored this session are appropriation bills. So, why is that? Why such a focus on appropriation?
Policy is important as well, but this is a budget year, so had to focus on appropriation. For example, I sit in Transportation Committee, and one of our major lifeline avenue, business corridor, is scheduled to be closed, and that will be harmful for businesses along RK Avenue. So there's no other resource out there that could serve this immediate need, and the community come to ask me, said, try to go out there to the Capitol and see if you can provide some mitigation fund for us, because this is new. It'll be quite damaging to businesses along East 7th Street and RK when construction take place. So appropriation is needed for projects like this. So that's one main reason why appropriation is important, and it's also more important for district with more diversity, with people of color, with economic challenges, low-income community. Monetary can go a long way to help a community that are facing economic challenge.
Senator, another bill you authored this session expanded the definition of the term veteran here in Minnesota. So talk me through the need for the bill and what it will accomplish.
That's the Special Ground Unit Veterans Bill. In the past, we just verbally acknowledged them that they have served and sacrificed as proxy soldiers to America, and that's part of my heritage. And we also refer to them as veteran, but only by word alone. And for us to move forward, we need to put in statute and into law that it's not just by word alone or by appreciation, but also put into our statute, coin it so that the special guerrilla unit or those who fought in the Secret War in Laos are considered veterans as well, and perhaps get some of this basic benefit. They're not asking for large benefit, like medical assistant or such, but they're just asking for very, very basic benefit like burial, grave mark, gun salute when someone passed away, license plate, ID with veterans, Secret War veteran identification on there. So this is our very, very basic, and just want folks to know out there so they're not misinformed that they're getting the whole load. Personally, I think that they should get the whole, as whole load because they're the same. They fought in the same war and during the Vietnam War as any other Americans, and also they are proxy soldier, meaning they fought. They get their paycheck from the State Department directly from this country to Laos, and so they're a proxy soldier. So then it should be equate, but over time, over the span of 50 years, legislation has not been put forth to help them. And legislation now have been put forth by their children, which is my generation of people. I'm a 1.5, meaning I grew up in Laos and lived the rest of the life here in this country. So it was their children that want to acknowledge them, and by acknowledge them, bestow them with basic benefit in our state only, so that their future generation or my future generation know where their ancestors come from and how did they get here, and that our state honor them as well, that our state respect them as a full-fledged veterans, and the benefit it's just something very basic, just the word of honor coined into our state statute, that means a lot.
Yeah, even if they were informally called veterans before, I've been told that policy reflects values, and so they need to be called veterans in full. So I understand that. Senator, what do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment this session?
Well, the goal of this session is to balance the budget, and I think we did well. We passed most of the bill before the end of the session. There's still going to be a special session, and there's just still a few other omnibus bills that need to be passed, including my environment omnibus bill, the legacy bill. We actually fought hard for that, and I'm glad that we passed that before the end of the session. But now we have to iron out the environment bill, and hopefully in special session we'll pass that as well. Certainly don't want any government shutdown, and I wasn't here when our state faced government shutdown, but I have experienced life out there and seeing how devastating it is during government shutdown, and all due to our political rhetoric that costs regular citizen, every citizen, people in Minnesota to suffer on our political ego, I suppose. And so things need to get done. And I'm glad that we are passing budget bill and balance the budget well, and balance the budget responsibly.
All right, Senator, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.